How much would you pay for a dish like this? The common sentiment for fine dining is that it's overpriced food for tiny portions. And while that's correct in a literal sense, I think the mistake is looking at it like food in the first place. So I've been in Paris the last little bit, arguably the food capital of the world, and while here I was invited to Atica, Paris, a fine dining restaurant in the Fifth, known for their dedication to the exploration of culture through gastronomy and art. I was incredibly excited to dine. Okay, so fine dining, if it's not food, then what is it? To answer this, we need to go back to the work of French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu and his concept of the pure gaze, which is in direct contrast to the popular gaze or the popular aesthetic. The pure gaze is the disposition that allows someone to perceive an object on an aesthetic level, rather than purely functionally. Someone with a pure gaze can appreciate something like contemporary art because they can appreciate its form or the composition or its place within a tradition or broader conversation. Art in this framework isn't measured on its likeness to reality, which would be closer to a functional relationship of art or the popular gaze. Someone with a popular gaze judges an object by what it does. Does the photograph show something useful? Does the painting represent something recognizable? Or in the case of dining, does the meal fill you up? Neither gaze is morally superior in the abstract, but there is a distinction happening, and it's one that falls on class lines. But what's actually happening here? Well, the pure gaze is ultimately a disposition that requires distance from economic necessity. And Bourdieu's argument is that the pure gaze is a reflection of a class position, of someone that can afford to detach perception from function, because function is taken care of. So back to the idea of fine dining, you have these tiny portions. The person who can sit before this beautifully plated dish and ask formal questions is the viewer who is not, at that moment, hungry. The popular gaze is one that cannot distinguish between art and food, and because it's literally meant to be eaten, insists that it should be filling because that is generally their relationship to food. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with this, but this is ultimately the disconnect for the people who see fine dining as a scam or not worth the money, because they see it as merely food instead of the art it actually is. The Attica experience in particular was an 8-course meal that had a beautifully rich story. We were on a journey through French Polynesia, covering themes like sustainable fishing and trash in the ocean. You had these dishes topped with frozen coconut, but it was made to look like styrofoam. And I'd absolutely recommend it if you're ever in Paris. It was honestly such a great experience. I've been really enjoying my time in Paris, and if you have any recommendations for restaurants that you yourself have tried, definitely let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.